Clockman's head then recedes back, and his arms come out and pushes the clock.
Here, I got a little something. This reminded me of something that I saw one time as a kid on Nickelodeon that I've never seen since. Maybe someone in the chat knows. Thanks to Prime Gorgar. Before we finish this one. The search for Clockman. Sure. I never really cared about these lost show searches. Shows are never usually interesting, but alright. Nickelodeon's mysterious lost short. Alright. Give it a chance.
Maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe. Nobody should ever find it. But if someone can, it's The Flood. This short animation was terrifying as a child. The scene is still burned into my mind 28 years later. It's of a young boy sleeping in his bed. Above the bed is a ticking clock. All the lights in the room are off, and it's very dark. Suddenly, the clock begins to slow down its ticking, and eventually it stops.
Prime Dink in the resub Modi
midnight.
In rhetoric.
When the clock stops, a greenish-bluish man climbs out of the clock. The boy wakes up just in time to see this man dressed in black grab him out of bed and kidnap him by carrying him through a window. The Clockman takes the boy on some kind of terrifying adventure and brings him back to his bed before sunrise.
This is a creepypasta? Yep, I imagine it's not real. Never is.
In 2012, a user known as Commander Santa posted this message onto the Flood forums in the hopes of uncovering a missing animated short from his childhood.
2082.
Little did he know, however, that this thread would kickstart the search for one of the most sought-after pieces of lost media. A search that lasted for 5 years.
Wow.
A piece of lost media known as Clockman.
Is it real? Give it a chance.
The long hunt for Clockman was at first dismissed as creepypasta bait.
That's what I said.
More than a troll looking for attention.
Yeah, I said that.
Questioned his memory, leading some to believe that it may have been nothing more than just a fever dream.
That wouldn't be my thought at all. I just think the whole story's fake.
Whilst watching it, the Clockman abducted the little boy and took him to places where he did not want to go. I can't remember where exactly, but I seem to remember the boy repeatedly asking to go home. Clockman just ignored him like he couldn't hear him. He kept dragging the boy through all kinds of scary places.
I bet it wasn't that scary. The kid's being a bitch.
For the boy and just wishing the Clockman would take him home.
And how he thought of the short throughout all aspects of his life. Junior high, high school, college, and even now as a father. It seemed that Clockman really haunted him, and he truly became...
What was that last part? And even sometimes now as a father, I just want to see Clockman. What the...
Commander Santa described what he remembered of the Clockman's appearance. A large bushy beard and a long cape. Several animated shorts were ruled out early on, even though they were eerily similar to Clockman, such as The Clock Store.
Yeah, this isn't exactly Nickelodeon in 1931, I'll tell you what.
And the opening to Nutcracker Fantasy.
But look out if you were awake past bedtime. The ragman would catch you. And when he did, she said, he would smile wickedly, point his crooked cane, and turn you into a mouse.
Man, what the? Why is he such an asshole? I thought the Nutcracker was supposed to be a happy, jolly guy.
The series had a total of 260 one-hour episodes throughout its entire run.
Oh my.
Meaning that around 260 hours of content would need to be scoured through to find Clockman, and a large amount of it just wasn't readily available online. There were also many other factors that stood in the way. Clockman was not the official name of the shorts. Nobody knew what it was called, and Pinwheel didn't have any sort of home media release.
Man, 4chan always gets it done.
Receiving over 800 comments within 24 hours, the stories of this short spread across the internet like wildfire. Within a single day, it had spread to World of Warcraft forums, Minecraft forums, Yahoo Answers, Hibbo Tank, and of course,
what is 4chan? Hibbo Tank?
Specifically the X Paranormal board. Within the same year that the original thread was posted on The Flood, Commander Santa went to 4chan for help. Upon his post, an anonymous user responded with the second official plot summary for Clockman.
Holy shit. I remember this short. It was like claymation with poorly made dolls, and the animation was real stuttery and shit. Then the door slowly creaks open while a generic wind sound blows, and the camera cuts to the kid's room at the foot of his bed. He struggles to open his eyes as they slowly droop, and he eventually gives in and goes to sleep.
He's a prime my
Then
farts.
it cuts to the clock while the second hand slowly ticks to 12. When it hits, there's like a low bell ringing sound, and the camera goes back to the foot of the kid's bed. The Clockman's head peeks into the room like the clock were a window. Unlike what the OP's image shows, the Clockman's head then recedes back, and his arms come out and pushes the clock.
Here, I got a little something. This reminded me of something that I saw one time as a kid on Nickelodeon that I've never seen since. Maybe someone in the chat knows. Thanks to Prime Gorgar. Before we finish this one, does anyone else remember back? It would have been in 2001, somewhere in that ballpark. Nickelodeon for Halloween used to play like scary shows, if I remember correctly. Some of them were live action. One of them had like a cabin and a woman melted, and then she came back almost instantly after melting as like a giant black blob of hair, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. I thought it was Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I remember like, what would have been 5 or 6 years ago now. I remember going back through Are You Afraid of the Dark looking there for it, and I couldn't find it. So I don't think it was Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I'm pretty certain it was Nickelodeon. I guess it could have been Goosebumps.
Then the Clockman starts doing like a weird
I didn't check
Irish
Goosebumps
dance. Oh, and the Clockman looks a little different from the picture. He was wearing like an all-black turtleneck sweater and a black bowler hat.
What?
His skin was green, and I don't really remember him having a beard, but he did have a big toothy smile and 2 real big eyes with very tiny pupils.
This guy sounds like he's way off, just making shit up.
The 4chan user's description of the events heavily differ from Commander Santa's. For instance, the user remembers the Clockman appearing with green skin, no beard, and a turtleneck sweater and a bowler cap instead of a cloak. Additionally, he recalled that the Clockman did an Irish dance upon his entrance to the child's room.
Oh wait, Haunting Hour? Wait, that sounds really familiar. Oh, R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. Don't think about it, anthology. Okay, what were the okay, let's real quick before we get too off track. What were the big ones? Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then there was another horror anthology series for kids. I guess it could have been The Haunting Hour, but besides Are You Afraid of the Dark, there was another one. Was The Haunting Hour on Nickelodeon? Maybe that is the one I'm thinking of. Oh, this was in 2010. Why are you giving me 20? I can tell you a few episodes from the show. There was one where Shia LaBeouf was in it, and he turned into a doll. That me up for a long time. And I do remember there was another one where there was a camp, like a summer camp on an Indian burial ground, and there was a curse that haunted the whole camp. Nightmare Room. Thank you. That was it. Nightmare Room. The Nightmare Room. Yep. Kids WB. That was the one. Thank you. God damn. This slapped. This shit went hard. Oh my god. I need to rewatch The Nightmare Room. Like, just listen to these names. Can you see that? Dear Diary, I'm dead. They weren't pulling punches, I'll tell you what. Not on The Nightmare Room.
Coming on DVD and video. It is the place where hidden fears slip through the shadows, where the unimaginable becomes reality. R.L. Stine will unlock the door to your scariest nightmares in The Nightmare Room. Scareful what you wish for.
I actually think I have one of these.
And a bonus episode. This is your invitation into The Nightmare Room. Careful what you wish for.
This shit was so good. 2002 was a great year. Bucks won the Super Bowl and everything. 2002 slapped. I definitely still have that on VHS or DVD somewhere.
Despite his best efforts, he was unable to find the Clockman on any of the DVDs. The story of Clockman became widely known in 2012 with Commander Santa's post on the club. However, it can actually be traced all the way back to as early as 2004 on a website known as The Animation Nation. On a thread where users were discussing horror elements in Western animation, a user named Michael W. Howe posted about a few frightening shorts he had seen on Nickelodeon's Pinwheel when he was younger. Sitting in plain sight amongst the other descriptions was a paragraph that sounded eerily similar to Clockman.
I found it once at my first elementary school, and then I forgot what it was called. Then there was one based on the story of a little girl who lost her red shoes. So she asked a local wizard for help who could appear and disappear anywhere. He helped her, but told her she had to...
Damn, this sounds intense.
The little girl goes home and doesn't, hoping the wizard would forget. But then the music gets eerie as the narrator says, but the wizard did not forget. And we see him appearing and disappearing along the house floors till he suddenly pops out of her clock and steals her away, demanding to know why she didn't tell her mom. She makes up for it by sewing stars to put in the night sky, and the next day is returned home and tells her mom the truth. And then, of course, there was the Willy Wonka blueberry scene and also...
At the time, this description was glossed over and not much thought was given to it by others. This was definitely not a creepypasta. This was real.
Man, this guy's gonna give himself a heart attack with excitement. The Clockman is a-comin'. Oh, maybe the 20 gift subs usernames are hard.
Spurned from the discovery of Michael W. Howe's post, the search died down and remained dormant for about 2 years. Then, out of nowhere, the creator of the Lost Media Wiki, known as Dykate, reignited the search. Dykate published an article on the Lost Media Wiki detailing the search so far, as well as his own efforts to contact various Nickelodeon employees that would have information on Pinwheel, and more specifically, Clockman. After having little to no success with reaching out, Dykate decided to contact Michael W. Howe. The two sent messages back and forth, solidifying the description from the original Animation Nation post and elaborating on it. The version that came out of these talks is perhaps the most detailed and in-depth description of Clockman yet.
And of course I watched Cicada 3301.
The show starts with a girl getting a new pair of shoes from her mother, who cautions her not to lose them. The girl wanders off a ways to play, but
God damn, and thank you for the 20 gift subs, Alex.
She finds she can't find
you, Alex.
her shoes.
Hope you have a great new year.
After looking everywhere for them, she remembers there's a wizard nearby who might help her.
Oh, that was sweet.
The strange thing is we see the wizard appearing and disappearing in trees and in various areas around his home. The girl asks the wizard for help and he gives her replacement shoes, but tells her that she needs to tell her mother what happened.
Makes the prime
However,
wizard.
The girl goes home and doesn't. During the episode, a female narrator can be heard. I still remember her going, she felt that the wizard would forget their deal.
Makes Resubotion, man.
The scene then changes back to the wizard's abode with him looking a little upset. The scene then cuts to inside the girl's house where she's in bed with a
wizard sounds like a real asshole.
As the narrator whispers in an eerie way.
They even 10 gift subs again, Socks. Appreciate it, man.
Forget. We then see 2 floors of the house with the wizard appearing and disappearing several times. First on the first floor, then on the second, then outside her door. He then is willing to forgive her if she'll knit stars to place in the sky.
Aww.
She does so, and he returns her home.
It's like Rumpelstiltskin, but as a child abductor.
And instead of her mother calling
well, Rumpelstiltskin also abducted children.
The mother forgives
It's Rumpelstiltskin, but with magic.
Well. We also see the wizard watching them through a telescope, smiling. That's about 90% of what I remember from... I recall it almost moved like it was stop-motion paper animation, like they laid the characters on the backgrounds and moved them around. I want to say maybe around the time...
How the could this guy remember that much at 5 to 7 years old? Holy shit. This guy got the entire short synopsis down and claims he only saw it when he was 5 or 7. That's a goddamn lie. This guy made it. This guy helped work on it. No chance. I can't remember shit that detailed when I was 5 to 7. The closest thing I remember to, like, I don't even know, like maybe Prometheus and Bob. I can remember, and I haven't seen this since I was probably 5 or 7. I can remember little bits and pieces of episodes, but certainly not like a full episode story.
Howe describes a similar tale to the one he posted way back in 2004, but with new vivid details that fills in the blanks. He describes the narrator, the environmental layout of the shots, the animation style, and even some of the lines spoken. Howe states that he had seen the short multiple times as a child on Pinwheel. Michael Karp, a writer, director, and voice actor on Pinwheel, responded to a post Dykate had left on his Stage 32 page. Karp responded with a vague memory of the Clockman short, saying that the film was most likely produced for the first season of Pinwheel, around 1980 to 1981. However, as Karp had come onto the series during the second season, he didn't have any knowledge of the Clockman shorts. He did know someone who did, though, executive producer Tippy Fortune. Tippy responded pretty quickly, impressed with Daike's investigative skills, stating that, unfortunately, she just doesn't remember the Clockman shorts. She did reveal something pretty interesting, though. Most of the films that aired on Pinwheel were acquired by Co Films. This company had a large library of films from around the world, and made their money from selling these films to other studios, such as HBO and Nickelodeon. However, studios like Nickelodeon eventually began to produce their own material,
That's interesting.
and there was no longer any need to purchase films from Co. The founder, Bernice Co, attempted to sell off the company, but there were no buyers. It's not really known what happened.
No one wanted to buy the
Clockman
company?
No longer in business. When Tippy attempted to Google the company, Bernice Co and her associate Min Levy,
thank you for the
there
raid,
were no
Peach.
results. It was as if they vanished. Despite the lack of information,
thank you for that. I hope you had a great stream.
Tippy included the emails of the members on the Pinwheel team that were heavily involved in acquiring programming for the show. She also included a list of children's media organizations that could have a lead on the Clockman shorts. While one of the members, James Calistro, did not reply, two other members, known as Louise Phillips and Bob Perlman, did. But unfortunately, they didn't have any information that Daike already knew. 5 years since the search had began, a Lost Media Wiki user by the name of Nitrate Nerd was doing their own research in the Clockman, in the hopes of finding a lead. They searched for an educational film titled The Wizard on WorldCat, a worldwide library catalog. After scouring through several pages, they instead found a listing for a short titled Sally, which had a YouTube link. After following the link, they found that the video was identical to the descriptions made by Commander Santa.
Well, that was easy.
How? That's right, they found it on YouTube. The video had been uploaded by AAA Studios, the current owners of the shorts. The video was sent to Commander Santa, who confirmed that it was indeed the Clockman. The long search was finally over. The actual Czechoslovakia was a communist nation at the time. The filmmakers never knew where their film ended up being sold off to. It went on to be sold off to the Learning Company of America, who dubbed it into English and titled it Sally, which eventually was picked up by Co Films, leading it to be broadcast on Pinwheel. With the Clockman finally being discovered, a new search began for the English dub. On January 11, 2018, about a month after the original was discovered, the English dub appeared online, thanks to a discussion between Lost Media Wiki user Tommy Shadow and the organization known as AV Geeks, an educational film preservation group who had the dub in their archives. A week later, one of the longest and most eventful Lost Media searches in recent history. What began as nothing more than just creepypasta speculation became reality, thanks to the dedication and hard work of people like Daike, Michael W. Howe, Nitrate Nerd, and
I wonder how many hours they spent researching.
Was finally found.
Nice. Well, we got him. Get the Clockman. You thought you could hide from us, huh? No, I don't feel like finishing the Smash Mouth cookbook. This is going to be reading shitty recipes from Steve. Exit Prime, no. Do you usually not celebrate New Year's? Not really. I'm definitely not celebrating here. Thanks to resub Jade. Literally everyone has COVID here. Thanks to resub Gold. Can you watch something in honor of Betty White? I mean, I liked Betty White's work, but I don't think so. I don't think that'd be very fun. Thanks to the Bit Zero. The Cowardly Dog episode ever created. I already know what episode it's going to talk about. The one with the domestic abuse. Yep, that's the one. Such a great episode. Everything encourages a masterpiece. There's not a single bad episode in that entire show. It's so good. Easily the best cartoon ever made, man. It looks scary. It definitely was for kids. I remember being a bit scared by some of the Courage episodes as well. In particular, King Ramses and the lady in the puddle. Why don't you like Big Mouth? Bro, that show is absolute utter garbage. What do you mean, why don't I like Big Mouth? Why do you like Big Mouth? That is an insufferable show to sit through. Tiana's watched every season, so I see it by proxy. It's terrible. It's awful to look at, and it's always so weird that they have just fully nude child cartoon characters roaming around talking about their, titties and pussy and stuff, and cock. Like, every single scene in that show always ends with one of the kids talking about jerking off. I want to see what he says about this episode.
On January 7th, I made a video on the final episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog and how the concept of perfection is subjective and irrational. That video ended up being my most successful project in my entire
thoughts
YouTube
on reacting
career.
content
the comment
on
section
Twitch?
of that.
I've said this a bunch, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with reaction content. I mean, there's a complete difference from just sitting down and eating while videos play, or just, you know, going AFK while video plays. But I don't know why people pretend that they don't like to watch videos with friends or watch shit with friends and joke around with each other. It's just genuine fun. Just to kick back with the chat, make jokes about some goofy videos. Like, it's just fun. And you don't have to feel guilty for it. Is it the hardest content in the world or the most creative? No. And I don't think anyone would argue that. But that doesn't make it any less fun to watch or participate in. But yeah, there is a complete difference from falling asleep and, like, letting Lord of the Rings play uninterrupted and watching slapping fights or whatever we watch here and whatever, like, Miz watches from time to time. Like, it's just fun. There's nothing wrong with that.
That video is absolutely beautiful. And not only do I have you guys to thank for that, but it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the show existing in the first place. In the first video, I mentioned how Courage the Cowardly Dog was not afraid to be too real with its morals and life messages.
It got dark.
I think the episode,
and I loved it for that,
is the epitome of that statement. Not even 90 seconds pass and there's this evil Max lady beating the crap out of Courage. This Max lady goes by the name Kitty. Mario and her optimistic self invites Kitty inside for a cup of tea. Max lady beats up Courage some more, and she sits at the table with the crew. Here, she informs the three of her current situation. Her best friend, Bunny, fell in love with a gangsta dog. I'm sorry, it just sounds so stupid when I say it out loud. In other words,
well, that's not how they say it in the show. The dog is just a gangster who's abusive.
With a dog who treats her like a slave.
Not like
when
Goofy
the dog
or anything.
found out Kitty was trying to get Bunny to run away, he threatened her life. So she was forced to leave her home and her best friend. She feels lost without Bunny. Then Eustace completely roasts the Max lady.
Take that mask off, you might see better.
So she gets super pissed, leaves
this
the
was
table,
a kid's show,
and says the following words.
Dogs are evil.
Hence why she tried to Courage for no reason. And she's not done. While Courage is minding his own business watching TV,
it is
Max
to
lady
date, I still believe, the best cartoon ever made.
When he tries to unclog the toilet, guess who's there to make his life a living hell? This show is honestly the closest thing you can get to a cartoon version of the average horror movie. I'm surprised they greenlit this episode, to be honest. That's how disturbing some of these scenes get. So Courage gets tired of getting beaten up, so he decides to steal Kitty's most prized possession, a toy mouse.
Ed, Edd n Eddy ran longer than Courage.
Bunny
Ed, Edd n Eddy was still a good show.
The reason Courage does this is because he believes Max lady is out to murder.
Did we watch this? I mean, I've already seen the episode and everything, but I don't remember watching the video breakdown of it. But yeah, the episode is all about Kitty and Bunny. Bunny's in an abusive relationship. It's a lot, and it's really good. The whole show's so good. I made a whole video essay like 3 years ago on Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think it still pops up as one of the first things when you just type in the show. No, never mind, I've fallen off. I went past it, did I? No, this is just me reacting to the theory, which wasn't even really a theory. Russian catches bullets. This? Needs to be some kinetic. Nice. Well, that's not real, but that's cute. Dating on Demand? What a title. Dating on Demand compilation from Cringe Blog. What? That's Charles Manson, by the way.
Well, I want people to know about me is I'm sort of a wild and crazy
Is it tier 1 golden
really
and resub hentai?
really strange. I mean, but at the same time, I'm also sort of normal, down to earth. I mean, I live at home with my parents, although that shouldn't be a distraction against people. I really care about things and the people that I
Is this like a
know
skit
about.
or something?
I'm very friendly. I'm very outgoing, if you get to know.
Somebody that likes to have fun. The worst thing that could happen on a date is that the guy is laid back and he's just not fun, okay? Because laid back, I mean, I don't have anything against laid back people, but...
But unfortunately, beat him too much, now he very stupid. Sexiest thing about me, everything. Kinky side, back there get very kinky sometime. Crazy place ever fool around in Dragon Cave. Waste lots of time.
What the f is this?
Lose many husbands. Need new husband. Unique talent and
Major Prime, Nas and Jake. The reset Asimar, Umbri, and Prosciutto.
If they make movie about life, about me, movie is theater, yes. They would make.
Very nice, very good. I'm sure she got laid as a result.